Hello everyone, my name's Sam. Welcome. A yokai is a Japanese spirit or demon, but you probably knew that before you clicked on this video. I'm here to ask you a question. Which one would be the best to have sex with? And I felt that there was nobody else better suited to this task, this scientific discovery, than yours truly. Because my girlfriend is actually some sort of bloodletting demon wizard. And so, sit down, buckle up, because there's a lot to go through here. I apologize, okay? Just spoiler warning, I'm going to mispronounce some of these. I don't have a lot of time to record this one. So without further ado, let's get right into this list. Now, as you can see, we got the list here. There's a whole bunch, not all of them, of course, because then I would be here until the cows came home. But starting off the list, we have the Akaname. Now, this fella, it didn't say whether or not it was male or female. This creature licks the leftover crud that is on bathtubs and wash basins and such. And honestly, I mean, its mouth would taste like dirt, so you couldn't make out with it, but it didn't specify whether or not it was male or female, which leads me to assume that it maybe has both, or can be either. But it licks dirt and grime and shit. You know what? I'm gonna have to pass on the Akaname. The Akateko is a hand that dangles from a tree, and there's a pretty lady also sitting under the tree, and in some accounts the hand will strangle the person that gets close to the pretty lady, but other times nothing will happen. So I have to guess that, you know, it's like a 50-50 thing, and there is a really sexy lady under the tree, so you get lucky, and I'm gonna have to put that in Smash. The Amabi is this weird bird, duck thing with long flowing hair that lives in the sea. Honestly, it's kinda ugly, and I'm gonna have to pass. Now, the Apasha isn't one, and the Apasha, or Apashas, I don't know if Apasha is the plural of it, like sheep or deer or moose, but an Apasha is the sort of demon thing. It looks like an oni, and they will go around seaside towns at night, making a ruckus and banging pots and pans and whatnot. It doesn't say whether or not they're male or female, but they're a bit too rambunctious for my liking, you know? I like them nice, quiet, you know, I don't like too much yapping. You're either gonna make me a sandwich, or you're gonna take your clothes off. I'm gonna get my ass kicked after this video goes up. You know what, though? No, I'm gonna have to go with pass. The Bake Kujira is literally whale bones. I'm gonna have to pass. The Baku is the dream-eating tapir, and immediately that brings back flashbacks to Drowsy and Hypno, so I'm gonna have to pass. I'm gonna have to go pass, because there is no way I'm going near Hypno. Next up is the Donotsura. The Donotsura. Funny enough, there's also in some other cultures something called a blemies, or a blemmy. Don't really know how it's pronounced, but it's basically this thing. It's a human, but instead of, you know, having a head, it's a human body, but there's no head, and the face is instead on the torso. And these guys can be male or female, and, you know, I'm all for the spirit of youthful experimentation, so I think we're gonna have to put this in the... Yeah. Next up is the Futakuchi Onna. Or Anna, sorry. I'm gonna say Onna because that sounds right. But it might be Anna. This is, everyone knows, everyone, I'd say everyone, but most people know of this one. This is the one with the mouth on the back of the head. Other than that, it's normal human woman. Smash. Okay. Next up, we have the Gashidokuro. This thing is a gigantic skeleton, and if you know me, you know how much I love them bones. I love me some bones, okay? Skeletons, they're perfect. They're great. I love skeletons, okay? This big bony bastard is the greatest yokai of all time. Nay, this is the greatest mythological or fictional character of all time. Okay, next up we have the Gyokuto, or Gyokuto. This one is also pretty well known. It's the rabbit making rice cakes on the moon. And I have to say, it's just a formation on the moon, like like the man on the moon, but it's a rabbit making rice cakes, and the moon as a giant rock has absolutely no sex appeal. I gotta pass. The Hanzaki. This thing is the Japanese giant salamander, but it's even bigger. Bestiality is fucking disgusting. Moving on. Oh, an interesting one. The Haradashi. Now, most of the time it looks like the image you'll be seeing on screen right about now, I think. Whenever I put it whenever I decide to put this in the editing. When I'm editing. But as it is, it looks a bit ghastly. It's like the Donatsura, but with a head. Sometimes it appears as this weird thing, just a torso with a face, kind of like a Donatsura, like I said. Other times it's a funny-looking lady with long black hair, and sometimes it's a nun. And I don't know about you, but I think nuns are kind of hot. And 2 out of 3 isn't bad, so we're going to put that up there. The Hinagami. Now, the Hinagami is a doll that you take home, and it grants your wishes. I'm already sold. But it'll bound to your spirit forever, even after you die. So you're telling me I have a genie that is loyal to me, and it grants my wishes, and can do whatever I want? Yeah, easy. Even if I'm not smashing the doll itself, which, why would I, have sex with a doll? That's a bit depraved. But, Spirit of youth, okay, spirit of youthful, experimentation. I'm all about that. Next up is the Hone Onna. Nuff said. Bones. Bone lady. Skeleton lady. Yes, sir. It's not a giant bone man, but is instead a normal-sized bone woman. Next up is the Hyakume. Hyakume? The Hyakume. It's a big old blob fella, but he's covered in eyes. And honestly, I mean, I'm not. No, this is a nope. Bit ugly, bit weird. No, thank you. Next up, we have the Jikiniki, or the Jikiniki. Sorry, I'm pronouncing that right. Hang on. What does this guy do again? Let me look him up real quick. Okay. They are ghouls which feast on the dead. They appear as ordinary humans for the most part, except their features are more monstrous. They have sharp teeth that they use to eat dead people. So they appear as normal humans, which means, I'm going to take that to mean they can be both male or female. And plus, I'm not dead yet, so they wouldn't try to eat me, So, yeah, we're gonna put that in Smash. So next up, we have the Jorogumo. Now, the Jorogumo is a spider lady, and in most depictions, I saw people pick this as, like, the bottom half of a spider and the top half of a lady. But in the one I saw that looked like it was, not drawn by someone on DeviantArt. No offense. You know, it looked like it. I'll put it on screen. I'll put it on screen right now. But it looks like it's just a lady with 8 legs. And you know what? 8 legs or 8 arms. 8 arms. Sounds kind of hot. So, I'm gonna go smash. Oh, I gotta mention that the rows aren't in any particular order. Wait, how'd this get up here? Okay, next up we have the Kappa. And I gotta be honest with you, no thanks. No thanks. First off, borders a bit too much on looking like an animal for my tastes. You know, I'm gonna give it a pass. The Karakasa is literally just an umbrella. I'm gonna pass. The Kitsune is a fox spirit that it's a bit like a skinwalker, you know? It like impersonates people, tries to be a person, and the more I think about it, the more that just sounds like a furry. Next up is the Kyohime, or as I've been pronouncing it, the Kyoheim. You know, the Kyohime is a bit too much for me, a bit too crazy. Dragon Lady, I'm not all about that. Kinda too much for me, We're gonna pass on that. The Kodama. I honestly pity Kodama just kind of being spirits that get lost in the forest. You know, I don't want to whip it out. I want to give him a hug and tell him it's all gonna be okay. So, gonna have to pass. Now, the Kokuri Baba. In my notes, it just says corpse-eating granny. So, while I gave the Jikininki a smash, I'm gonna have to give that a pass because, well, I'm not into gilfs. Now, the Kyokotsu, it's a skeleton that comes out of a well. You know, I gotta think about this one a little bit. We're gonna put it in smash. Next up is the Mekarabe. The Mekarabe is just a skull that's made of skulls that watches you from the side. I mean, it's kind of just a head that watches you, right? Honestly, it's the literal definition of skull fucking. I'm gonna have to bleep that. But you know what? We're gonna pass. The Makuma Kurin is a wall that has eyes on it. And you get rid of it by plugging up the holes where the eyes are. Truly peak creativity. You can tell that when they were coming up with the Yokai, they kind of ran out of steam on this one. You know? Honestly, I'm gonna have to give it a pass. Just because it's not very creative. Nekomata. The Nekomata are cat people. I'm not a furry. Next up is the Nigawarai. And this is like a monstrous person. Can be male or female. You know, it's kind of like a monstrous person that's just super angry all the time. And I don't know about you all, but angry sex just doesn't sound fun. And it's for that reason I'm gonna have to pass. Okay, next up is the Nupepo. The Nupepo. Nupapao? The Nutella puppy. This guy's like a big old blob of meat that just kind of goes and does his own thing most of the time. You know, in a lot of the art that I've seen for this yokai here, it looks a lot like Super Meat Boy, and I am not sexually attracted to Super Meat Boy. We're gonna have to pass. Next up is the Nurikabe. Now this is just like a big dude. Looks more like an Indian monster than a Japanese one, but that's neither here nor there. This fella blocks your path. Honestly, that's kind of an asshole thing to do, and I'm not all about that. So we're gonna have to pass. Next up is the Obarion. Obarion? Yeah, Obarion. Okay. The Obarion is a little gremlin that hops on your back, and while you're traveling and walking around, it'll jump up on your back and get really heavy. So you you can't walk no more. And honestly, it's perfect for bottoms. It's perfect for people who just want to be dominated. Next up is the Omukata. It's literally a giant centipede. You've heard of the giant centipede? This one's a giant centipede. Next up is the Oni. You've seen an Oni, I've seen an Oni. We've all seen an Oni. Especially if you clicked on this video, I know that you've seen one of these, okay? But what you may not know is they can be either gender. So you've basically got yourself a Dami Mommy that's probably going to eat you afterwards. And while some men may be turned away from that, I'm gonna valiantly go where no man has gone before. You know, some people get the post-sex hungries. It's no big deal. Onikuma is literally a bear. No thank you. The Onryo, if you've seen The Grudge, you know what this is. And you know, I've seen a couple, been on a couple websites, seen a couple of pictures, and, you know, I think honestly, it really might not be so bad to just be killed. Okay, next up is one you probably knew about as well, the Rakuro Kubi. It's just a lady with a really long neck, or sometimes it's a lady with a floating head. And like with the Futakuchi Onna, it's just like a normal human woman. Next up is the Shirime. The Shirime. This is a man with an eyeball where his butthole should be. The legend goes that one night, two fellas were walking down a street, and one guy turns to the other guy and flashes his ass at him, and there's an eyeball there. And that's all I could find. You know what? That's a bit creepy. Imagine doing that to a child. No, thank you. This guy's just going around, flashing random people. He's a menace. He needs to be stopped. Pass. Okay, next up is the Tsunekosuri, which is this little dog thing that... It's like a guinea pig, dog, hybrid. That's what it kind of looks like, at least. But it goes around and it runs through people, and it'll, like, run through their legs, and you can ride it sometimes. Honestly, it's a dog, and as I've said before, bestiality is wrong, so pass. The Tanuki, well, this makes me think of Tom and Nook, and, yeah, no thank you. The Teke, the Teek, the Tiki, Take. Teke. I'm gonna say Teke. Or maybe Teki. I'll say Teki because that sounds more fun. The Teki is the upper torso of a person that lives along highways and such, chases after your car. Honestly, that's just the upper torso, and, I mean, most of the times it has like a knife or scythe or something to you know, murder you. But nothing ever says I can't take the weapons away from the yokai before we do it. So I think I'm gonna have to put this one in Smash. Tengu. Now, from what I saw, Tengus were almost always males, but they're also complete, you know, just complete jackasses. They're real assholes, and I don't want any part of them. Even though they look very, very cool, pass. The Ubame is a woman, normally found covering in blood, by bodies of water, holding a dead child. But it's a sexy ghost woman. Enough said. The Wani is a dragon, and I am not cool enough to have sex with a dragon. I asked my doctor, and that's what he told me. So, I gotta listen to him. Maybe I'll call the president. Maybe he's cool enough to have sex with a dragon. But until I find someone who is, it's gonna go on pass. Next up is the Wanayudo, which reminds me a lot of the Wheels angels from Christianity. Well, for obvious reasons. And this is a wheel that's on fire with a head in the middle that rolls down paths and stuff, and sometimes it sets things on fire, and sometimes it doesn't, and you know what? I'm not into all that, so pass. The Yuki Onna, and this is another one that I think most people know, is the snowy woman who will freeze you to death. But I think if I have enough hot hands, and if I have enough grit and gumption, I think I can tame this wild beast. I may not be cool enough to have sex with a dragon, but I'm cool enough, God kill me, to smash this ghost girl. Last but not least is the Zashiki Warashi. And this is like a little ghost girl who's a prankster, and automatically saying little ghost girl, no thank you. Pass. And that, my friends, is the end of this this train wreck of a video. I'm gonna have a lot of fun editing it. If you did enjoy, I hate asking this, but like, subscribe, maybe. And I'm gonna try to explain this to not only my therapist, but my girlfriend. Goodbye, people. I've been Sam. Thanks for watching.